we were supposed to get Black Adam in this movie, the guy who's like the only Shazam villain anyone's ever heard of, except The Rock, apparently, who thinks that Black Adam is the arch rival of Superman.
Bing bong.
Shazam 2. We gotta talk about Shazam 2. I'm seeing some reviews, and sometimes I agree with them, and sometimes I disagree. Right off the bat, I'm gonna say, if you like the first Shazam movie, I think there's a pretty good chance that you like the second one. I liked the first one. I liked the second Shazam movie too. Now, there's one big difference between these two movies. One of them was setting up the second one, and the second one was completely different than everything they teased and planned after the first movie. Now, because of that, the second movie, I think the biggest issue with it is that it just feels very generic. This is a very cookie cutter, generic superhero movie. There's not really anything unique about it. Feels like it checks all of the standard boxes. It's fun. It's got good comedy. It's got good action. It's got good acting, but it doesn't really mean anything. We kind of already knew this because DC is sort of blowing up the DCEU right now. So Shazam is in this weird spot of being a movie that sort of matters, but not really anymore. Maybe it will, but it also may not. Not really sure where this character is headed going forward, which makes enjoying this movie, or even feeling like it's worth watching, sort of a weird experience. In a way, we kind of have a spoiler knowing that the DCEU is kind of in a weird place right now. Now, on the positive side, everything from the first Shazam is pretty much here too. So that's why I think if you like that first movie, you're probably going to enjoy the second one. It's got most of the same cast. It's got most of the same types of jokes and types of delivery and writing and all of that good stuff. And I think it's enjoyable. It's just that it felt like we were supposed to get Black Adam in this movie, the guy who's like the only Shazam villain anyone's ever heard of, except The Rock, apparently, who thinks that Black Adam is the arch rival of Superman. I don't even know what was going on in Dwayne Johnson's mind, but not only did he like veto Shazam being in the end credits of Black Adam, which basically seems like they took the scene between Black Adam and Superman, and it should have been Black Adam and Shazam having that scene. The Rock just people's elbowed Shazam out of there, put in Henry Cavill, acted like he brought back Henry Cavill. James Gunn proceeds to fire Henry Cavill a week later. Absolutely insane. And so there's part of me, as I was watching this movie, even though I enjoyed it, I thought it was fun. I thought it was pretty much on par with the first Shazam. I think sometimes people will see a sequel and immediately say, well, it wasn't as good as the first one. I don't know, looking back at the first Shazam movie, this was probably pretty close, in terms of quality. I think that maybe they ran into some issues with the Shazam family, which it sort of felt like was kind of a weird choice in the first place. To my knowledge, there are two versions of Shazam. The version where it's just Billy and he turns into Shazam, and then there's the one where all the kids say Shazam and turn into one Shazam character, person, hero, whatever. Now, I don't know if anyone else feels this way, but I always thought it was weird that they cast the kid to play Freddy, then they cast the kid to play Billy, and they had Zachary Levi as Shazam. Of those three, the kid who plays Freddy, great. Zachary Levi as Shazam, great. The problem is that they're both so good and they have such a similar style that it feels like that should have been Billy Batson. The kid who plays Freddy should have been Billy, except he's so good that they couldn't not have him in a majority of the movie, so they had him play somebody else. But in this movie, that kid is way too mature. It feels like Shazam and Billy Batson are two totally different people. Not even remotely the same person, which is very weird because Shazam in a lot of this movie is very much still sort of fish out of water, even though there was just a whole movie about him kind of figuring all this shit out, and now he's still doing it. But then the young version of him is mature and not really goofy and silly anymore. So then when he turns into Shazam, it's who the hell is this? Who the hell is this superhero guy who doesn't know what he's doing? They turn back into the kid. He's way more knows what's going on. That aspect of this was a little bit strange, just from a casting perspective. And I get it. The story is a little MacGuffin heavy. It's a little like, we gotta go find this object, we gotta go find this person, we gotta go talk to this person to find this object to do this thing. Like, I get it. It's a lot of like, first it's a staff, then it's an apple, then it's a wizard, then it's a tree, that like it's a dragon, and they just keep kind of adding a new thing that needs to happen in order to just sort of progress the story. There's also a really weird cameo in this movie that seemingly happens just because they needed some way to get to the end of the story, which is like just weird. This is like, there are elements of this movie that are just kind of weird. It's a little bit of that like weird DC movie where even the people making it are like, is this important? Like, can we just kill everybody in this movie and it won't matter? Or do we have to be like careful about, oh, we might need this character later, so maybe don't do that to them? How did we get 2 Shazam movies and Black Adam wasn't in either of them? That's like the only Shazam villain that I've ever heard of, ever. Like, as a fan, it sucks. Now, the other problem is that I think personally, people just don't give a shit about Shazam. I think that it wouldn't have mattered where you put this movie. It was supposed to come out near Avatar 2. They moved it 3 months. I don't think it would have mattered where you put this movie. It was gonna bomb. I don't think this character is popular enough. I think this movie, without like a real supervillain, you know, played by some big electrifying sports entertainer, kind of tough to sell. It does sort of feel like Shazam falls into the category of which one is he? For the casual viewers, as you start to use these like more and more sort of obscure superheroes, you're gonna get a lot of people in the audience who are like, is this guy DC or Marvel? I don't really know. I'm not really sure. It's not really, you know, a lot of hints. There's like one big hint about which side Shazam is from in this movie, but you know, for the most part, I could very easily see people just not really knowing if you're like a casual fan who's just going to see a movie with a superhero in it. And so it's unfortunate that this movie got such middling reviews. It's unfortunate that it is completely bombing at the box office. I mean, this is going to go down as one of the biggest, if not the biggest, box office bomb of the year. It is already out bombing Morbius. Morbius, the movie that was memed into oblivion. Shazam 2 is doing worse than that. Such a shame, because it's actually not a terrible movie. I thought it was fun. I think that's really all I'm looking for from superhero movies these days, is like, just be fun. Unless it's the Batman. That movie owned. And I love it when serious superheroes are taken seriously. But Shazam's goofy. So the movie should be goofy. And I think it was. I think it checked those boxes. I just think that I'm left wondering, what were the original plans for this movie? We're probably never gonna get to see what those plans would have been, and it's a bummer because they had set up so much, even right down to the end credits scene in this film, which they basically have to just rerun the first end credits they did in Shazam 1, and it feels like a lot of wasted potential, which is a shame. But hey, at least The Rock got to make a movie about Earth's mightiest hero, Black Adam.